Thank you very much. Unaccustomed as I am. It's Friday night. I think I've been awake since Wednesday. Yes, my son, young Xavier, was born this morning.
Can you hear me without the mic? Or yes.
Yes.
Use the mic.
Yes.
Use the mic.
No.
Yeah, use the mic.
No.
Come on, you
Kill use it.
We'll use it. Yes, so I've been awake since Wednesday, so this this poem has been hampered by sort of chronic fatigue and lack of sleep. The final couple of verses were written mainly about Hodjo, to be honest, in the car on the way here with the Uber driver from Lahore. We couldn't find an Urdu word to rhyme with appropriate scansion with arse, so we had to leave that verse out, but we'll do our best. A warning first, from here on in you're facing rhyming verse. For banjo fans, one more I fear. It can and will get worse. Thank you very much. It was a red brick North Shore private school, old money well to heal, whose diaspora of old boys sought a game that they could feel. Well occupied the daylight hours before they hit the pub, with a quarter-final drawn against Reg Bartley's cricket club. Bards were a bunch of misfits, ring-ins travelled across the seas, unwanted tryhards from Queensland and Eversley CC, but coalesced by faith into a cricket club of sorts. They set about to turn about this most genteel of sports. To watch them train, the experts muttered darkly under breath, "'Tis ruin for the grand old game by youth and its success." The established favoured other sides who presented cool and chic, with jobs and homes and footwear, and who showered every week. And while Barts wanted not for effort, success was hard to come. In 9 trips up Mount JPS, we'd not crested this one. A victory over this side would be brand new territory, a milestone in the history of the Reg Bartley CC. But the Barts today held aces. The draw was ours this day. The dragon at our castle now, we knew that we could slay. Slated by fate to play against the team they called Old Knocks. We'd measure those small-minded men, small hands, small feet, small socks.
And an apple chapel.
The rain had lingered days before, but we worried not for that. A bout of happy sunshine would flatten out our mat, and we cared not for the toss. Let us bat or let us bowl. A battle hymn to fight, to win, was stirring in our soul. And we turned up to the ground, bathed in sunlight, gold and strong, and we figured we'd get underway before too very long, till the groundsman looked upon us with a face for jilted lovers. "You're off today. Get off the pitch. We've got no fucking covers." And realising came slowly the weight of words he said. Our season here on this fine day was buried, stone cold dead, and we retreated to the grandstand bearing crests fallen and glum, with Rob Lowe sobbing softly, "I'm so sad, I want my mum." And we sat in quiet reflection of a season gone with grace, the trials and tribulations, all the glories of this place. We reminisced upon all that we'd thus far achieved, legends grown so tall they could scarcely be believed. When Fred insisted each man come 2 hours before the game, and refusing to trust Hodgson to deliver him to same, he thought he'd take an Uber on his smartphone, made a bid. To the ground he was an hour late, and lighter, 80 quid. But when he finally turned up, he was surprisingly chipper. He flashed a smile and flexed his gums and said, "Rules ain't for skipper." The comments in response to this, predictably blunt, were summed up best by Benno when he called the skip to front. Well, that time this bloke walked out to bat, his blingy earring shining, the kind of personality whose singing sounds like whining. Reality TV stars, as a rule, are rather flaky, and we thought the maxim proved correct when he started out quite shaky. But as over followed over, still there he was, now sound, Guy Sebastian lashing Piggy all over the ground. Of singers who can play a bit, if Pig could choose his toil, he reckons he would opt to bowl in at Susan Boyle. Or Fletch went out there carving up the Sydney uni vets who'd earned themselves a welcome break from euthanasing pets. The crashing drives, the dashing pulls, the bowling fairly flayed. Brian Eyre told him, "Make a ton, then maybe you'll get laid." So well was Fletchy going that his scimitar had faltered, and waving to the boundary for a new one not so altered, Hodjo carried out the blade, only to strangely meet the immortal lines from Fletch. "The big dog's gotta eat." When Bannerman got carted, a massive shot against the sun, an arc which took it across the skies toward Highway number 1, and landing with a cracking thud flush upon the dome of a brand new car just off the lot, just being driven home. What are the chances, we all thought, and turned back to the game, but the unwitting victim had a temper less than tame. The bloke charged on the ground, swearing, thrashing all alarm. "Don't touch me, mate," he screamed at Tom. "Fuck you, I'm fucking calm!" Hodjo walks that narrow line between tough and tough, but bat him down the order and he'll storm off in a huff. He loves the sun, a chance to tan those massive fucking guns. But your spot's in trouble when your bicep curls outnumber runs. Ben Martin Henry's a fair chap, aware of wrong from right. His care for umpires extends to questioning their sight, and not afraid to state his case when he feels one might be wrong, still whinging about his LBW, only 8 months long. There were glories too this season past, none more than when the boys, led by Bleakers and down to 10, took on older lawyers. Bleaks and Mule reduced those mix to barely just a ton, but early wickets in response meant home was far from won. Amid the carnage, one man held his head when others faltered. His driving record's terrible, but his pulling can't be faulted. Hancock was on a single leg, but he said, bat on gunner. Of his fine 86, 80 were made by his runner. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. Hodjo lives by this creed, and he's not a shrinking violet when we're defending a lead. 2 overs left, 20 to win. Hodge says, put me on. I'll ice this game, I'll finish it. You'll see, I'll get it done. He sent them looping down, fairly spinning off the sod. The ball's a mystery to the bats, the bowler, and to God. And at the over's end, when it came to tote the sums, 0 wickets, 8 wides, and 16 fucking runs. And so we sighed and drank our beers and thought of season done, those peaceful afternoons spent beneath the beating sun. The ebb and flow, the cut and thrust, the glorious game's procession. No time is ever better spent than in this game's possession. By the vagaries of weather, we sadly found us beat, but the Barts can take some solace from the wreckage of defeat. From our season we can know this truth, we did not resort to caper. We may not employ covers, but nor do we use sandpaper.
Absolute legend. No experience, breaking any boots. Well done, fellas. Now, before we wrap up the evening, there's one award which I forgot to give out tonight, and the award is the Honorary Bart Award. This person, they've never actually played a game of cricket for the Barts, but they've been integral to the club for the last 5 years, as long as I've been here. And predominantly when we have the charity games, this person has donned the sky blue apron and tossed a lot of sausages, so to speak. I just been integral to the club over the last 5 years, and helping out with those charity games. It gives me absolute great pleasure when she tosses a sausage. But yeah, it's a nice moment for me to be able to give an award to my wife, Kelly Leroy. Well done. Well done. Speech. Thank you.